Hello and thanks for joining us for today for another broadcast of SMTV on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jamie McCook.
We saw an interesting infographic put out by Lab 42, and it takes a look at brands on Facebook and how people are interacting with them. And we could just scroll through this for a second and point out the highlights. But they interviewed 1,000 social media users and how they feel about the brands that they like. And just some interesting statistics here that 87% of people like brands on Facebook, not surprising there. This was this seems lower than I thought it would be. The 35% feel brands listen to them more on Facebook. And I see why that would be the case, but I figured that would be more like a 50 or 60%.
I agree. I mean, because it's, obviously it's public. And so, companies are a little more, quick to get back to you as opposed to a one-on-one service call. So I would definitely imagine that would be a little bigger because I know I feel that way.
One more that actually a couple more, but one that was very interesting to me was that the half of these people said that the brand's Facebook page was more useful than the website. I thought that was fascinating.
Huh, that is a little odd. I mean, obviously websites are they should be a huge part.
Right.
And it should be functional and people should want to go there, but if it's half and half, that's kind of interesting.
And I guess it depends on what you consider to be useful. What are you using it for? If it's just for customer service and to talk to and about the brand, then I guess a lot of people would consider the Facebook page more useful than the website.
Right, because a lot of companies don't really have those open forums on their sites anymore because of social media.
Right, you don't need to.
Yeah, so maybe that's why they're talking that way, I guess.
Yeah, the last thing we'll point out here, this is still a big part of why people follow on Twitter and like on Facebook. It's for promotions and discounts, 34%. And then after that, giveaways, loyal customers, trust in the brand, and whatever the other is. But this is still big. I mean, we've talked about how this has fluctuated a little bit, but promotions and discounts, at least to get people there, that's pretty big.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone likes free stuff. I like free stuff.
We want to remind you, anytime you have a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss on the broadcast, please send it over to us.
You can email us your questions to questions@splashmediau.com. Or you can tweet them to us by using the hashtag SMTV questions.
So let's go ahead and get started. Question from Pat. Pat wants to know, how much information do I need to include about myself on my LinkedIn profile?
That's a good question. It kind of varies. I mean, I think as far as for me, I want to include all of my relevant work history and get as descriptive as possible as far as my job description and skill sets. That way if people come along, they'll know what kind of, interests you have if you're looking for a job. People can see like an overview, like what do you have to offer them at a glance, and may give you a leg up on people if you have all that entered.
And LinkedIn is high up in search results. It's huge. So I think it's also important to consider the words that you're using when you put in these descriptions. Don't be afraid to optimize a little for these keywords. Take a look at what people are actually searching for and in terms of your job description or your job title, and use those words. Don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, I think I need to optimize mine, obviously, a little bit more because I wasn't really using, as far as optimizing my LinkedIn.
Right.
I didn't even really think about it. So.
But I love the recommendations you had. I think it's the skills as part of the experience, and then the job description itself. Get as detailed as you want, as long as each one doesn't, is not maybe the full page of the screen there. But get detailed so that people know when you connect with them what your experience actually is.
Right. Another thing I would kind of suggest is try to get a recommendation, from each of the companies you have worked for. That goes a long way, especially if you worked for a small company. Even if it's a recommendation from a CEO, they may not know how big the company is, but It's still a recommendation from a CEO or a C-level executive that could go a long way.
Very true. One recommendation from each of your jobs goes a long way.
Jackie wrote to us, should I accept LinkedIn connections from strangers?
I love having this question here because I was actually just talking about this issue last week with a friend of mine on Twitter because I tweeted out just an open invitation to connect with me on LinkedIn. And he responded and wanted to know if that was something I did on a regular basis, connecting with people I hadn't already met. And for LinkedIn, I would say that I do. I don't automatically connect with everybody, but I do make an effort to reach out to people who I may not have necessarily met, but we might have something in common. Unlike Facebook, because I don't typically connect. In fact, I don't think I've ever connected with Facebook to someone who I hadn't either met in person or was introduced to through a friend.
Yeah, neither have I. I mean, I definitely go through my LinkedIn though, and I'll still go through the profile just to make sure it's somebody I still wouldn't mind all my other, connections knowing I'm associated with them. So, I mean, if it's one of my friends, you know, I guess it's a little different because I'll usually tell them, hey, didn't accept you because you're still in this industry. Just because I don't really want that, you know, kind of coming back for all my connections to see.
Yeah. Jackie, tell us your response. Do you connect with anybody on LinkedIn, Facebook, and how do you respond to various people who might follow you on Twitter too? Cheryl wants to know, why do I get Twitter followers? Oh, so it kind of ties in with that one. Why do I get Twitter followers who don't seem to share any of my company's interests?
It ties in perfectly. But yes, the main reason you're going to get this, you could have used a hashtag that had something to do with sports. And if you're, you know, in the dental industry and it's completely off, you could have used something, you know, about the Olympics and someone, you know, liked what you wrote and so they chose to follow you. Again, it's public, so I mean, everyone can kind of see what you're writing. So if they like your content, they click follow.
Right, and we encourage businesses to tweet out things that are somewhat related to your industry and maybe things that are a little bit off topic, but they appeal to your community, your audience. If you're a local business, talk about things in your local community. That can get some great engagement. And if you do that, of course, you may get some followers who are not related to your business, but saw something from one of your statuses that they wanted to, that they just kind of hooked onto and wanted to follow.
Right, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Owen wrote to us, I'm curious who your favorite celebrities are to follow on Twitter. Duncan Gilman. I'm
Jamie McCook. I guess, you know, for me personally, I follow a lot of I follow a lot of comedians. I like Jimmy Fallon, I like Conan O'Brien, and not just because they're comedians. I think because they also know how to use Twitter. They're very witty in how they take advantage of all of the Twitter functions and tweets, and that they're very efficient in that 140 character count. And I think it, you know, especially in celebrities, you have to really craft that message. Well, you know, it's funny. I think those, like, comedians do a great job of crafting those messages, but I think we see a lot of celebrities who can just tweet anything and it will get retweeted.
Right. I mean, the Green Bay Packers,
Yeah.
like Langer, he had 97,000 tweets just talking about the NFL refs.
Right.
You know, saying, you know, fire me and use that to pay the officials. You know, 97,000. So maybe I'm going to follow him. That seems kind of fun, the stuff he tweets. My guilty pleasure, besides you, of course, is Tim Tebow, just because I'm a Tebow fan. He does a lot of benefit work, you know, volunteering, and I just love seeing that kind of stuff and the interaction that he gets with people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's mine.
I'd love to know what celebrities you follow. And we love these questions. That's going to do it for today. I want to thank you for joining us this Tuesday for SMTV. For Splash Media, I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jamie McCook. Have a great day.